Welcome to the All About TRH podcast, aka All About the Real Housewives, aka All About the Truth. It's been 8 years since former Real Housewives of New Jersey star Siggy Flicker opened up about her experience on the Real Housewives. And for the first time ever, Siggy is spilling all the tea, including what happened behind the scenes with Margaret Josephs. She also reveals who Margaret Josephs reached out to in an attempt to cause hurt and harm with Siggy's family. We talk production, behind the scenes tea, favoritism, Jenn Fessler, and where she stands with her former New Jersey cast. Hi, Siggy.
Hello. Wait, let me put in this ear things. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Hello,
go ahead.
ladies. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes. Hi, Siggy.
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good. I have it in. Okay, hi.
All right. Hi, so we're so glad you can join us. How is Michael? How are the kids?
Oh my God, living the life fairy tale. So freaking love my husband. He saved my life. Thank the Lord I have him. I'm very happy. I'm living the life in Boca Raton, Florida.
Oh, I didn't
You're
even
still
know
there.
that.
She's still there, right? Or you went back? Oh, you guys used to vacation there.
No.
Yeah, Jersey, right?
My first marriage was in Boca. I had my children here, and then when Michael and I got married, and all the kids left, and they went to college, and they all, left. Once they were in high school, Michael says, "Honey, where do you want to go?" I said, "I want to go back home." So we moved back to Boca, but we also have a place on Long Island in New York.
Oh, okay. So how
That's
often do you go there?
I go there once a month.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Okay. So you're still around though.
Oh, honey, the SIG is never going anywhere.
I love that.
I'm here.
Well, I wanted to say, so Chantal and I, we rewatched New Jersey. Well, Chantal rewatched all of New Jersey. I rewatched when you came on the show. And looking back, we were like, man, Siggy was kind of played on the show when it came to Margaret. And that's why we reached out to you. I know it was so random. And it's not like you had reached out to us or anything. We reached out to you because we had just rewatched. And I was like, I am so interested in getting her perspective on things now that it's been, so much time. Like, how many years has it been since you were on The Real Housewives?
Yeah, I was on the show from 2015. So I think it's been over 8 years.
Wow.
Ladies don't understand how many people have reached out to me to talk. And I'm always like, nope. Because once I leave something, once I break up with a man, once I end a relationship, I don't look back. I don't get dressed backwards. I don't drive in reverse. I'm like, hell no, I'm out of here. The show was so toxic, but not toxic because of any of the girls. Toxic because producers and Margaret Josephs, who is the most toxic, not easy on the eye. I mean,
I agree, girl.
I still talk to some of the housewives and I'm not going to say who, because, it's their job and their livelihood. But the way we describe her is she looks like a roast beef sandwich that's been sitting in the sun for 18 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And ladies, I know that you saw a version of me on the show. And listen, I'm crazy in a good way. I'm authentic. I'm real. But one thing about me is that anybody will tell you is I don't have any ill intentions. I walk into the room and I'm like, bring out the damn chips and salsa and let's start to partay, everybody.
Yeah.
And it's crazy in a good way, but I have a way of making people feel good and bringing the energy up. And when I tell you for 5 hours a day, for 5 months of filming, that little shit drained the life out of me. And not only because of her, I could have dealt with her. I could take her out with my I'm Israeli. I don't fear anybody. And here I am on the show with all the producers backing her up, having dinner at her house, hanging out with her, and it's still going on. And the reason why I'm deciding to speak today, because it is not fair what they are doing to Teresa Giudice. It is not fair. And all the people who see one side of Teresa and they think they know her and they're like, oh, no, she's this, she's that. Let me just tell you something. You watch Jersey, because Jersey is Teresa Giudice. That girl lives and breathes to entertain the world. And she has gotten married on the show, divorced on the show, gone to jail on the show. And she is the most authentic housewife ever. there is no other side of Teresa
because she
Giudice.
doesn't play the game. She's not like, you
No.
know, none of that. It's really her. What we see is what we get.
Yes, and I want to say something, but I don't want anybody to take it as an insult.
Yeah.
And I always laugh at this with Teresa. She's like, Siggy, I don't understand. They always say that I'm like an airhead or I'm not smart, but I never said on the show that I went to Harvard. Like,
Yeah.
she never claimed that
Exactly.
she's like this. Leave her alone.
Yeah.
She has a hard time expressing herself because
Right.
she's emotional. She doesn't understand why everybody comes at her left and right. And I want you to know that when I came on the show in 2014, it was 2015 when I I came on the show and they wanted me so bad to hate this girl. She had just come out of jail. And they're like, Siggy, you're not scared of anybody. We would love for you to go up against Giudice. And I said, listen.
Wow. So they do that.
No one knows this. I know no one knows because I haven't talked about it, but I'm not saying bravo. When I talk about I'm talking about the toxic production team that handled, I don't know if I know some of them got fired or that is still handling, that plays favorites. And they play favorites. And I'm going to reveal a lot of things that people don't know.
Yeah.
They play favorites and they protect, especially Margaret. So you have to think about it. What does Margaret bring to the show? She has no storyline. She has no real big family.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's a girl who's got a mother who's prettier than her, a husband who's a plumber who can't even clean out his wife's shitty pipes. And here she is. But what they love about her is she will go into the dark places where no one dares. And here's why I left the show. My daughter came home one day and said, Mom, you're not going to believe this. I said, tell me. Now, for those people who don't know, I was never supposed to be on Jersey Housewives. I never wanted it. I did it because Jacqueline, who I love to death, who's one of the greatest mothers in the world, came to me and said, Siggy, you got to come join the show. The show is not going to be dark. Teresa's coming out of jail. They've got to change the energy. They need your energy. And I was always described as like the Bette Midler, the Joan Rivers. You're going to come there and we're going to make Jersey great again. And that's the way I went into it. And every single day I came home and Michael, you say, honey, they're not interested in making anything great again. People don't watch the show to see a bunch of women telling each other how pretty they are and pass around the gefilte fish. It's not happening for you.
Right.
It's not. And I said, Michael, just give it a chance. I have this book that came out. I want to sell my book. I want to, I want to, I loved it. And part of it was my ego. Part of it was like, yeah, why not? I want to be famous. I want to elevate myself. Why not? And part of it was really like, let's just go and entertain America and the world and have fun. Yeah. And from the moment I entered it and I realized why are they calling it reality? It's not real. It's not real when producers are stopping everything and whispering in certain ears. So what people need to understand is when you're filming a 5-hour scene, you see 2 minutes of it. But within that 5-hour or 3-hour scene, they're constantly stopping and whispering in certain people's ears. So if I'm sitting there, somebody's whispering in Margaret's ear or somebody's ear, say this, because they want to get a reaction out of that other person.
Wow.
So that is what happens all the time that people do not understand, that they stop and they whisper in ear. So now all you housewife fans, next time you see somebody, doing a scene, you'll see a producer stopping and whispering in the ear, how to aggravate that person. So if they went over to somebody like Dolores isn't aggravating anybody. She's not interested in aggravating anybody because she's got something called a moral compass. Yep. When they go over to the other one, the other one, Chompers, I call her now. Anything they tell her to do, she will do. She is that person.
When that's happening, like, do you hear what they're telling them to say?
No,
or you just,
you don't know. So now all of a sudden, I'm getting all insecure and I'm getting like, shaky. And I'm thinking, wait a second, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, she'll say something like, last time I looked up in the dictionary, I looked up man, Michael Campanella's name wasn't in it. So I'm like, bitch, don't you fuck with it. You're not talking about my man here, the greatest man in my. You're not going there, no.
Well,
but
I did, I did see a TikTok recently, and it was, I forgot where they were. They were on a cast trip. It was when someone pulled a knife during lunch. You weren't, but it was, I think it was like right after you left or something, where I think it was Jennifer Aiden when she first came on. And these girls, they did a TikTok and they were like, this is, we didn't even know who the Real Housewives were, but we just kept seeing them do the same scene over and over again.
Yes.
And the whole point of the TikTok was like, who was nice, and now they rewatched it to like see if it matched when they first met them. But I was like, wait, is that what they do? Do they like film a scene a couple of times?
Yes, they do. They do.
Wow.
Yes, but the whole thing of Housewives is it's supposed to be reality TV and entertaining. So my whole point of saying this is if Bravo just gets, Andy Cohen at the end of the day gets the dailies and he watches it. He's not involved in the day-to-day operation of filming.
Yeah.
These producers have so much power. And what happens is if I'm sitting at the diner and somebody's telling me that my husband's ugly, my children are ugly, I'm making this. And at the end of the day, I say, you know what, screw you. And you only see me saying screw you. You don't see the prior interaction.
Yeah.
You only see my reaction. You're getting a false narrative. You're not getting the whole picture. So when people say, Siggy, why were you soggy? And why were you this? And why were you that? You didn't see the 5 hours leading up to it. You didn't see the 3 hours leading up to it. You didn't see the torture of how I couldn't wait for reunion when I never, ever had to stay. I never had to see these people again. It was like, Michael would be like, okay, 30 more days. I'm like, honey. And thank God for my attorney, James Leonard, who also represents Teresa. He saved my life.
Wow.
He's like, hang in there. I was, and you know what? You have to be thick-skinned, and maybe I'm not thick-skinned, but when my daughter came home and said, you're never going to believe what happened today, Margaret Joseph reached out to my husband, Michael Campanella's ex-wife.
Oh my God.
No.
Roxy, I got on the floor and I said, Michael, I don't like to admit when I'm wrong. I'm a very proud Israel. You know what I'm saying? When I stick to something, I'm ride or die. And I said, Michael, you were right. And he goes, I told you. The only thing that I told you is, honey, we got to protect our kids. And at that time, our kids were still baby. They were still young. And, I have 4 children, we're a big blended family. And I said, oh my God, they're going to bring her on to try to do something and hurt the kids and whatever it was. Why would she need to have conversation, an interaction, or a call? My husband's ex-wife.
Wow.
That is exactly who she is.
And it's scary. That's so scary for you guys.
Listen, I'm like, Michael, we have nothing. In my family, it's like this. I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book. I post everything I'm doing. I don't give a shit. If you don't like me, then you shouldn't like me. But people are allowed not to like somebody. I might not be somebody's energy or chemistry. That's all fine. That's fine. I'm like, Michael, we have nothing to hide. And he goes, Siggy, I know we have nothing to hide, honey, but we have kids. And these kids don't want to do it. And I don't want to do it. And the kids want to be kids. They don't want to be involved in this. And that's when it came to realization that if you don't have your husband and your children behind you, you really, there's nowhere to go but, out. You can't do it.
Well, it's so crazy because I had no idea about that. Like, we know that Margaret befriended Marty because she wanted to add fuel to that whole Danielle Staub situation.
Mm-hmm.
She was behind the Evan cheating rumor. She brought up the Louis rumors on the show. She spoke to Louis' ex. She exposed Bill having an affair. And then she reached out to your husband's ex-wife. I had no idea.
Oh, no, I didn't talk about it out of respect for my stepchildren, but I'm bringing it up now. Unfortunately, my husband's ex-wife is deceased, and
I'm sorry.
Very hard for my children to have gone, to lose their mother who they loved and adored, and it's a very, very tough situation. But the whole time I'm saying, wait, I'm on a show. Leave the kids out of it. What? Why bring the children? Why are you going and sniffing up? It's not but this is who she is. If somebody said to me, Siggy, I want you to go investigate, and get in touch with, I'd be like, are you kidding me? That's not what it's
Yeah.
about. There's enough drama happening with us. Why? But they needed that one person, and that's why the producers protect her, and that's why a lot of people have gotten in trouble in production over the last few years, because it's come up where she is protected in the editing room, so she walks around and she's got nothing else. Come on,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
what successful business? I mean, come on,
We
it's a joke. It's
Well,
a
yeah,
joke.
we've heard she's close to some producers, and I think that's
Oh,
still the
yeah,
case.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah, they
definitely,
have
you
dinner at her
definitely,
house.
yep,
Mhm.
Well,
you can
actually,
definitely
this
see.
season, she was close to a producer specifically who she'd always have dinner at her house, but they're no longer on season 13. So
I know who
yeah,
it is.
okay, yeah. So
Listen,
we heard a lot of stuff
right.
about that person.
So finally, I said, you know what? Enough is enough. Teresa has given her heart and soul to the show.
Yeah,
She is the show. And by the way, I don't have any beef with Melissa and Joe. I never had a beef.
yeah,
Not that I don't have. Joe and Melissa, I don't have a beef with them, but I'm letting you know that the person who comes on the show that is authentically herself is Teresa Giudice. I have never ever seen anything like it. She doesn't care what she sounds like or
yeah,
looks like. She is the real deal. She is in love with her 4 daughters. She loves this guy that she met. She's whether the world wants to say he's crazy, he's not. It's not. Who cares? Call him crazy, call him not crazy. It's her business.
yeah.
They have a great relationship. She's the happiest she's ever been, and it's very, very unfortunate that so many people come to me and they say, what happened to your friend or what's going on, and I'm like, really, you don't see it? Now people are starting to see it, but for a long time I'm like, listen, if there's no Teresa, who's going to entertain you?
Yeah.
The other ones with who no one really cares about,
With no outside storyline.
Nothing. Nobody's got a storyline.
Because we don't
Teresa
see anything with Margaret. We don't see anything with Melissa.
Unless it's to do with Teresa.
Exactly.
Right.
So we don't see that. Whereas in, Teresa has brought so much, and it doesn't have to involve Melissa and Joe. But I want to know, you brought Margaret on the show.
That's a lie.
Oh, yeah. So we were wondering if these are actual
okay.
friends.
Wow.
I'm so happy because when the producers were like, we're going with the storyline that you brought her on the show, I'm like, bitch has never been in my kitchen. What do you wait? What?
Yeah.
I never, ever, ever, ever was friends with Margaret Josephs. I'm sorry. I have a huge ego. My friends I've known for a long. I've never been. She's never seen the inside of my kitchen. Not my house in Jersey. Not my house in Boca. Not my house on Long Island. She has never seen the inside of my kitchen. That was all production's lie.
Wow.
Never was I friends with
so
her.
how did they like paint it to you? Like, hey, we found someone. Did you refer her or anything?
I wouldn't refer her, but they said we're interviewing people. We're interviewing A, B, C, D. Do you know this girl, Margaret? I said, yeah, I know her. She lives in my town. I had a mutual friend that was friends with her. And, who am I to step in? If she, has a great interview and makes it, great. I didn't have any problems. Margaret Josephs came on the show. They said, Siggy, we're going to go with the storyline that you brought her on the show. First night, they bring her to Boca Raton. We all meet out for dinner, and the chemistry, to me, life is about chemistry.
Right.
So she started with, I don't do drugs, but I put pot on my puss. Now, the minute she said, I put pot on my puss, I was like, Dolores, I'm about to vomit in my own mouth. I can't, there was something about her that just irked me from day one. It wasn't my type of girl. There was something about, she was just like, I put pot. I'm like thinking, listen, if Melissa Gorga said that, I think it would be like, okay, you're a beautiful girl. You put pot on your puss. It's fine. The fact that this girl with the pigtails is sitting at the table telling us that she puts pot on her puss, I was like, there was something about her from day one I just did not mesh with.
Wow. Yeah. And I actually feel like with Margaret, a lot of people in the real world wouldn't mesh with her. Like, I can never see her and Melissa being friends if it wasn't for the show.
No. Okay. So another thing about Housewives is, and you'll see this with everyone who's left Housewives. I'm not mentioning any names, but go through all the. Once you stop filming, no one is friends. No one. It's all
Yeah.
phony
Oh, I was going to
friendship.
ask you that. I was going to say, when you left the show, does it make it, like, is there a difference? Do people still talk to you, or
Everywhere I go, it's been 8 years. I can't get through an airport. I
Yeah.
can't get off. I can't get through the supermarket. I mean, for me, it's no housewives leaves Housewives, and their platform is even bigger, but mine. So I
Yeah.
leave now, and they're like, Siggy, I loved you on the show. You were my mom's favorite. You were a heart of gold, and now I love you even more because you're standing up for the United States of America. We love you, and we love President Trump. That's
Yeah.
what I get 24/7 everywhere I am.
Yeah.
And to me, it's the greatest feeling that I was able to walk away and people were able to see through the edit. That means that 80% of Americans have a brain cell. The other 20 who don't have a brain cell, the other 20 who saw a girl who you are not getting along with all season, a girl in a room reference Hitler to the only Jew in the room, the first Jewish Jersey housewives. And we are talking about Kim D, who she had never met. And the first thing that enters her mind is saying, well, Hitler wanted to kill me. Does that make him a bad person? I mean, for people not to see how this girl was bullying me from, she just went it and knows producers are not doing anything to me. I'm safe.
Right.
And I would walk away saying, you think that that's normal? That's like an animal that needs to be caged. That's normal.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Kim D and a charity event for people who lost their children. And she's going to reference, I don't like Kim D. And I'm like, but you don't know her, bitch. What do you mean you don't like her? You never met her.
Yeah.
She's like, well, Hitler wouldn't have killed. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to be sick in the head to even go down knowing here's a Jewish girl. Her father's a Holocaust survivor and scholar. And you're going to go down that road and people are like, oh, Siggy, you're exaggerating. Well, listen, exaggerating or not exaggerating, soggy or no soggy flicker, honey, I'm still remembered 8 years later. And I'm going to be remembered
Yep.
16 years later. So
Yeah.
whatever it is, I ain't backing down. I didn't back down then. And I didn't back down now. But for those people who even saw Reunion, at Reunion, I knew I was never going to come back. So I was like off the charts and what, like I really found my balls in Reunion and really let everybody, have a piece of my mind because I was, I knew I was never going to go back or see them.
Well, the first season was very good for you, right? So the first season was great. And then the second season, with Margaret and her kind of...
the first season, the first season wasn't for me and the second season wasn't for me.
Okay.
The first season hurt me a lot because I was hurting for Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Jacqueline Loretta got a very bad edit. All she wanted to do was make the show great when Teresa returned. That was her only, I'm like, oh my God, this girl really cares about this show.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a Housewife fan. I've never watched Housewives before, and I don't watch it now. I'm not. I was never. And Jacqueline she loves Housewives. She loves Bravo. She really cared. I don't know how she feels now, but she really cared about the show. And the whole time she was having people giving her the wrong information in her ear about Teresa. And it started this feeling of her against Teresa and Teresa's against me. And I'm like, she's not against you. And now I'm stuck in the middle because everybody was hoping that I wouldn't like Teresa, but I ended up loving her.
I'm so glad.
From the day that I met her, she just looked at me. She says, I love your lips. I'm like, you're so
She's so
freaking
funny.
cute. She
Yeah.
goes, what kind of lipstick is that? And Teresa's a sharer and I'm a sharer. So she like, I just want to give you things that you might not know. Like she'd go into my makeup bag. Siggy, what's this? And I'm like, oh, this is something that I put on my beauty mark to darken it. And she's just like a girl's girl. She's just funny and real. I had this relationship with Dolores that if Jersey ended tomorrow and I was on the beach, me, Dolores, and Teresa would be cracking up. We had such a nice, real chemistry. It was beautiful.
Are you still close with Dolores?
I'm not
Okay.
close to, not because
Yeah.
we got in a fight. I have to stay away because here's what happens. If I get close to them or if I'm having lunch with them, then the headlines are like, Siggy's trying to get back on Housewives. It's
Yeah.
too much noise, and I don't need noise in my life. I can
Yeah.
never, the show, not for me. I wish it well, but I also wish that they would cast it right. Cast it
Well,
right.
where do you stand with Jacqueline? I mean, Jacqueline's not on the show anymore.
I don't know who she is. I
Wow.
don't, I
Wait,
don't know
Jacqueline
any.
Larita?
Oh, no. Oh, Jacqueline. I thought you said, isn't there a new one? Jackie?
Yeah, her name's Jackie.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
Okay,
no. I'm
got
not.
it.
I'm like, what? I'm like, wait,
Okay.
Jacqueline Larita?
No, Jacqueline Larita is a doll. I haven't spoken to her, but when she reaches out via Instagram or sends me a text, during COVID, before COVID, I was supposed to go out to Vegas. And if I'm in Vegas, I'm visiting Chris and Jacqueline. I'm going to reach out to her
Yeah.
and see her. But I have
She
my
moved to
life.
Orange County. She moved to Orange
Yes.
County. Yep. Mhm.
Yes. But I have my life. She has her life. She's one of the greatest moms. I mean, I really have a respect for women who really take their job seriously as a mom. And hands down, she's one of the best moms. And it was just sad for me, the first season that I was on, to see that relationship go to the garbage, all because of hearsay. There was
Yeah.
no real evidence. It was all hearsay.
Yeah.
And to me, it was sad because, I was struggling within me, and it just drove me crazy. But casting the show, producers need to cast the show the way they did the original cast.
Yeah.
Get some women in their late 30s and early 40s. Stop hiring women who are in their 50s who really don't need to work.
Yeah.
All. Get some young blood in there that really, really wants it. And because when you really want it, and you're living above your means and you can't afford your life and you really want that fame or that money, then you're going to go on it and bring it. And then everybody wouldn't have to rely on Teresa Giudice to bring every single goddamn storyline is based around
I
her.
kind of think with this last season, they did do that though. They did hire two younger people. And in my opinion, both of the girls really, want to be famous, really, really want it, like hired
That's
someone
amazing.
to.
That's
So,
what they
so you
needed to
think,
do.
okay.
Right.
Okay.
Hire the Siggy
That's an
Flickers
interesting
of the world.
perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because listen, you can't hire the Siggy Flickers of the world because I don't need the money and I don't need the fame. So what's in it for
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Nothing. But if you hire somebody who's young, early 30s, late 30s, early 40s, they have a company that they want to get off the ground and they really want to be famous and they really are living beyond their means. And what do I mean beyond their means? You have housewives that are on the show now who are living beyond their means. And they can't say anything bad because they need the paycheck. They need
Yeah.
to be on the show because they built that extra big house that they don't even need, but they have to be a show off and they're living beyond their husband's
Yeah.
income. But those people will always bring it. Always bring it, but it's getting stale. Everywhere I go, they're like, Siggy, do you talk to any? I'm like, no, I don't. They're like, oh, it's the same storyline around Teresa and Melissa. I'm like, well, they make the show. Unfortunately, that's what everybody is interested in because it's all based around Teresa Giudice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I want to go back to the whole Dolores thing. What did you think when Dolores and Margaret became so close?
Oh, I didn't care. I love Dolores. I think Dolores is a brilliant girl. I think that Dolores listen, there's work and there's play. Housewives was not on the air and I saw Dolores and Margaret together, I'd be like, whoa, my friend what happened? What's she smoking today?
Yeah.
It's all, listen to me. I'm whether they're friends or not, God bless them. When you're working on that show, you need to show a unity with the other housewives. You need to hang out with them from time to time. You need to go out to dinner and take that picture. I mean, when I was on there, it was such pressure. I have to go out and post a picture that we're all together.
Yeah.
Getting along. Meanwhile, I was like, I got better things to do on a Saturday night. What the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
But you have to listen. It's a job, and that's why I respect the housewives and I stay away. It's a job, and there are people who are not on the show who want to get back on the show. There are people who are on the show who want to keep their position, but you have to understand this is not by free will. All of a sudden, Siggy leaves the show and Dolores is like, wait a second, what the hell's going on here? I said, I can't do it, Dolores. I can't. I'm not losing my husband and I'm not losing my kids. And now she's faced with, listen, Dolores is a peacemaker. She doesn't like drama.
Yeah.
She's got a good head on her shoulders. One thing about Dolores is she's no dummy. Dolores is very smart. She knows exactly what she's doing. So God bless her. She's got a beautiful family. I love her children. I love her ex-husband. And I wish her nothing but health and happiness, because I'm telling you, the relationship between me and Dolores was the great. If I have to take anything away from that show, it was my relationship with Dolores, which was fabulous, fun, real, and she kept me laughing all day long.
Yeah,
I love that.
Well, a little birdie told me this, so you can. I'm gonna be honest with this question. They said that during that your first season on, that Jacqueline would almost rehearse scenes prior, and that sometimes you would go along with it. Is there any truth to that?
That is a complete lie.
Okay.
Jacqueline Larita never rehearsed anything, because you can't rehearse a scene. You don't know what's happening. You get a call that says, okay, we're all going to the opening Siggy Flicker's book signing. I'm just, whatever it is. And all the housewives show up. How are you rehearsing that? You get something, and what are you rehearsing? I mean, no, that's a lie. Jacqueline Larita is one of the greatest housewives. She's an OG. She's authentic. She's real. If anybody had a problem with Jacqueline Larita, which is crazy to me, how the editing room, listen, I'm all about politics now. I couldn't care about what we're talking about right now, but listen, you guys see fake storylines all the time. People say to me, Siggy Flicker, how could you like Donald Trump? He's an anti-Semite and a racist. And I'm like, duh, his daughter's a Jew and his grandchildren are Jewish, and he's done more for the Jewish people in the state of Israel. How do you not know that and just listen to CNN sound bites? How do you not know that Mar-a-Lago was the first club that accepted Black Americans and Jewish Americans? What are you talking about? Everybody loved him before he ran for president. That's because the 1%, that establishment that can't control him, said, if he comes in, he's going to expose us all. We got to keep him out. It's the same thing with Housewives. Those producers have all the power in the editing room. They can take a devil and make the world believe that that devil is an angel. But now that Americans are waking up to what's going on politically, they're also waking up to what's happening behind the scenes of all these housewives shows. And quite frankly, I hear this all day. And how do I get my information about Jersey? It's when I'm playing canasta, or when I'm going to the mall, or I'm in France. I was in France and somebody's like, Siggy, oh my God, I love you. Can I ask you a question? Is Teresa okay? And this and that. Going on? Well, they're gaslighting Louis now. He's not used to filming. And I'm like, it's his first season. Of course he's not used to filming. They're like, you don't understand. They're all attacking him. And I think that the editing room is making him look really, I said, he's not crazy. He might be an emotional man and somebody who aren't we all emotional? Don't we all have issues from the past? Who's freaking perfect? And if anybody says they're perfect, I'd say, listen, take an Advil and never call me again. You're full of shit. Yeah. Leave them alone. But people are starting to wake up. So they need to recast, and they need to get. I'm glad you girls told me that the two new ones,
So you're not watching? Have you not watched okay. So yeah, because if you watched, I feel like you would be like, okay, good. This is what we need then.
No, I trust
that's what
you.
You're saying.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
The two new girls are like that, but at the same time, you miss the genuine, sincereness, because they're coming in and they're like wanting to be famous. Where like maybe someone like you who came in and you were just there to have a good time and like maybe bring the show back. They're there just to be famous, and sometimes there's like a fine line between those two.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay because that's first season. Give them a chance to second season.
Okay. Yes.
And don't forget, I came on Housewives after VH1. I had my own matchmaking show, 10 one-hour episodes that were amazing. The show got canceled because there was no body parts going up in the air, and there was no table flipping, and there was not a lot of drama. But I was on Wendy Williams for 4 years. I came on the show like, I just wanted to make Jersey great again. Do I think that I was a great housewife? No, I don't think that I enjoyed the experience, not season 1 and season 2. And, I'm happy I'm off. I'm sure some people are not. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. At the end of the day, what they need to do is get people in there that really want to live their lives on air with husband, with kids, and not afraid. And if they would just keep production fair, they would have a successful show. The fact that everybody comes on the show and they're all afraid of Margaret Josephs
Yeah.
because they know that this, roast beef sandwich has a relationship with the producers and hangs out with them, then you're not going to get an authentic show because everybody is afraid and they have to protect her. And I'm telling you right now, if the show ended tomorrow, which it won't, so don't be afraid. It's not ending. It makes too much money for the network. But if the
Yeah.
show ended tomorrow, none of these girls would be friends, with the exception of maybe Dolores and Teresa. None of these girls, it's a job for them. But you want to keep the job real. And you know how you keep the job real? You don't play favorites. If you are 5 housewives, 6 housewives, 7 housewives, give them a fair edit. If they make an ass out of themselves, they signed up for the job. They have to do it. I didn't have a problem with fighting with any of the housewives. I didn't have a problem with having a good time with any of the housewives. My resignation letter said, you have created a hostile work environment. And if you read my resignation letter in reunion, I said, Margaret, why did you come at me 5 hours a day, 5 days, every single day? And at the end, I broke her. And she blurted at reunion because production told me to. And then all of a sudden it was cut. Everybody whispering, we got to edit that out. We got to edit that out.
Oh my gosh.
That happened at reunion. And I said, I went like this. Amen. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. I got what I wanted. You admitted it. Here I go. See you later. And that's what happens. And that's why I feel bad today for Teresa, who's trying to raise her kids, who's in a new marriage. And she's got people attacking her left. Don't know the full story. It's give her some respect and some space and realize that this woman has given this show her all.
Yeah.
She is authentically herself and has given it her all.
Thanks for listening to part 1 of our interview with former Real Housewives of New Jersey star Siggy Flicker, and be sure to tune in tomorrow for part 2.